Hey everyone, this is Brian Ferguson. I know if you're watching this that you're enjoying the Bumps and Thumps podcast. In order to continue the podcast and get the guests on that everyone wants to hear about, we need support from listeners like you. There are a few ways you can do this. One is going to anchor.fm, which will be on the bottom of your screen here, and click the support button. There you can make a monthly contribution to support the podcast. There's also, we have a Teespring store. We have a link down at the bottom of the screen as well for that. And we have products such as t-shirts like this one I'm wearing, backpacks, glassware, and other great items for you to purchase. Those purchases go directly back into the podcast and get on guests that require financial compensation. Thank you again for your support. Go to those websites and support our podcast, and we will continue to bring the guests that you want to hear about, past and present. And thank you for your support and enjoy the podcast. Thank you for joining another edition of Bumps and Thumps, the talk of wrestling. I'm Brian Ferguson. My guest today is the ring announcer for Mid-States Wrestling and an avid wrestling fan. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Ryan Pilkinton. Ryan, thanks for coming on.
Hey, anytime. Thanks for the opportunity.
I hope I said your name right.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Awesome. All right. So, if you're watching this, you can see Ryan's wall behind him there. And before we came on, he was talking about him and his grandma collecting figures and things. And that's just, what'd you say, 2% of your collection?
Yes. So this is a small portion of my classic superstars collection, and it's numerous walls, but this wall behind me it's a lot of autograph pieces, a lot of guys that are no longer with us. Piper, there's a lot of good names up here. Jake Roberts, Bobby Eaton.
Yeah.
Rows of these are signed, but most of my favorites are behind me here. So I have a pretty good selection, and I said I'm going with these. So
yeah, looks great.
Thank you.
Mine is minuscule to yours, but that's okay. So all right, so
you got some good stuff in there.
I appreciate,
You do.
I do. Thank you. Let's talk a little bit. Growing up, you're from Springfield, Missouri. So Let's talk about how you, growing up in the Springfield area, kind of what you did and some of your schooling, things like that, getting involved in wrestling. How did it all start from your childhood? Talk about that a little bit, if you would, please.
Honestly, it's crazy. My real dad, he passed away when I was 21, but we only watched 1 hour of wrestling ever together. We were working out of town, and we had watched it in a motel. So I can't really say, it was me and my dad, but my mom had remarried, and my stepdad at the time, he used to take me to the Shrine Mosque, early 90s. The good WCW era, the blue and yellow ring, Cactus Jack, Too Cold Scorpio, Ricky Steamboat. Who else they have? Van Hammer. A lot of them good classic names. And I just remember going all the time. The one little light over the ring. I remember, I believe it was Brian Pillman. He had something in his trunks. And, I was at the age to where I believed everything that I was seeing.
Yeah.
And I think about that time is when I really latched onto it. Seeing Hogan and Warrior at WrestleMania 6, like everybody that was my age was a Hulk Hogan fan. And I wouldn't say I wasn't a Hogan fan, but to me, Warrior was just awesome. The colors, he was just crazy. So that really stuck out. But I mean, I remember sitting backstage with Perry Saturn and him telling me that he was Perry Saturn. I was very young and didn't really know much about him. And then years later, of course, the stuff with the Flock, and stuff like that. I was like, wow, like I remember this guy. And, you know, as I've got older, I've stayed with it and used to do the Monday Night War stuff where we'd have multiple TVs in the house and each one's recording, or somebody else in the, you know, in the house is watching a different channel and we're relaying stuff. But my whole family, my mom, and my stepdad, they got into wrestling for a long time. So it went from like something I love to just something that it's just what I do. It's every day. If I'm not working, you know, I'm probably out at a Walmart or a Target looking for figures, or me and my son's on YouTube watching wrestling, or I could be chatting with somebody like you. So wrestling is just something I love. I refer to people all the time as I'm 38. I'm pretty much a wrestling nerd. I was as a kid. I still am. I probably will be when I'm 70. But I love it and it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it since I was a child as well, and that was, you know, 70s into the 80s, when you had a lot more of the regional promotions then. So understand, I'm a Hulk Hogan guy, as you can see, if you can watch in the back, I got the big figure, and Ric Flair. So that's great. You said the Shrine Mosque. You know, I remember going to the Shrine Mosque. I took my son there a few times, and the little dangling light above the ring, he brought that. I remember that as well. You know, and there was a TNA event actually. It was probably about 12 years ago now, but the dangling light.
We had some good TNA events at the Shrine.
Yeah,
they had a couple that were outstanding. I think they had Generation Me versus Motor City Machine Guns. If I'm correct, at the one I went to, and I've got Saban's tag. It's laying around here on one of these tables, but one of the Bucks spit on it. Somehow or another, they threw it at me. I caught it. Then I met Saban and Shelley, and then he signed it. It's a weird story about it, but I've got it laying around here somewhere. Those are good shows, though.
Yeah, they were. That's when I went, it was Aces and Eights. It was the fashion then, and you know, Jeff Jarrett, I bought it, I didn't sell out, all that. So it was good times. I remember it. So so let's talk about you getting involved in the business. All right, you're even you know, if you're watching this, folks, he's got looks like his announcing attire on him right now, because that's what he wears when he's in the ring there announcing the matches. How did that all come about with you?
Well, I've been around, you know, I've met just about every promoter in the area and every independent wrestler in a certain state radius over the years, just being a fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I've known Jason for a long time, and you know, we were just talking one night at the gym, and I said, I'd like to try ring announcing. And, you know, he said, you know, we'll talk about it. And never really heard anything from him for a couple weeks. And then he messaged me one day and said, hey, would you like to ring announce? And I said, I sure would. And it was the Bobby Eaton tribute show.
Okay.
So for me to like break in, I can normally deal with pressure pretty good, especially in the ring. I have no problem being in front of people. But just knowing the situation with Bobby, I had followed him in TCW for years. A buddy of mine, Michael Melton, he was a cameraman for TCW, and we were going all the way down to Mississippi, and my son was riding with us. I mean, everywhere I go, I take my son. And we just some of the interactions that Trey's my son, that he had with Bobby. Bobby just became one of them guys at the show that I don't know. My son always interacted with him. He was very genuine. He became kind of like a regular, you know, just somebody that you were seeing more. We were seeing him more than I see some of my brothers, you know, just going to so many shows. And some of the stuff that him and Brian Thompson were doing was awesome. But when Jason said, you know, would you like to do this? I was kind of puzzled at first, but I was like, yeah, I want to do it. And so for my first show, I think that was a pretty cool way to kick it off. Yeah. I'm so grateful for the opportunities that Jason's gave me. He's awesome. He's an awesome guy.
It's funny. I just did a podcast with the Iceman last Friday, and he speaks very highly of Jason as well. And when I went to that promotion, that was my first show at Florida Mid States, was the Bobby Eaton Memorial Invitational, and it was a great show. I was really, actually, I'll be honest, I was surprised at how good it was. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I just mean it was put on very good, very first class, from the pre-show when all the wrestlers were out there signing things, talking, interacting with the fans, to yourself, it was just all very well ran and organized. And I went back the next month when Jimmy Hart was there. And same thing, and Jimmy Hart, I thought it was going to be like, here, I'll sign your thing real quick and move on. But actually, Jimmy Hart talked to us, my son and I brought one of my sons. He talked to us for probably 5 minutes, no problem. Just said it was cheap. And he actually signed 2 items, signed that poster that's behind me there. And his photo, which is behind me as well, and took a picture with me and my son, because I thought it was just going to be, one. He goes, "No, get him in here." And I'm like, okay, cool. So it was great. And I don't mean to talk on, but it was your guys' promotion there at Mid States. You're both in Springfield and you do shows in Harrison. They're great. I mean, I can't say enough about them.
They're both great. But some of these, I'm a Springfield guy, so I'm not going to be biased to Springfield, but I will say these last couple shows in Springfield, the sellout crowds, the crowds are hot, and it's really good to see that, because we've had some other, I guess you could say, independent companies in the area come around over the years, and just about the time you think, they might make a little bit of noise, it fizzles out, and it's good to see the turnout that we get here in Springfield. The same in Harrison. It seems like it's a really good, loyal fan base, and a good rotation of talent. So
yeah,
I have a blast doing it.
Yeah, you guys look like you have fun. That's the best part of it all, is that it looks like the crew and the wrestlers, they all enjoy it, and the fan base. There's a lady down there, older lady with the Grandma Hulkster shirt. I can't remember.
Granny Hulkster.
Granny Hulkster, yes, that's her.
Her name is Lori Burke. Granny Hulkster. She's awesome.
Yeah, I actually saw her in Dallas at WrestleCon back at the end of April. So I said hello to her. And anyways, yeah, you guys got such a good fan base there as well. And every time I've been there, it's full house. So how do you like as far as the ring announcing? I know that's kind of new for you, but you enjoy it. But what's it like, the traveling, going back? Yeah, you're in Springfield, but I mean, Harrison, because you guys get out of there kind of late, and then I don't know if you stay there or drive back, and is that kind of take a toll on you, or you bring your family with you, or how do you do all that?
Well, like I said earlier, most of the time it's been this way ever since he was born. When my son would always kick my wife's stomach every time he heard Kurt Angle's music in 2005. Which is weird. The first wrestler he ever met was Kurt Angle at a TNA event in the Shrine Mosque when he was 1. We got a picture of Angle holding him. Everything, everywhere I go, wrestling. Yeah. I've only been to 1 wrestling event since he's born. He's almost 17 that he has not been to, and that's because he was wrestling for high school state series, in a tournament.
Okay.
And so he goes with me everywhere. So we do. We've been doing a lot of Harrison and Siloam Springs, Bentonville, Tulsa. Most of the time, we'll stay every now and then, but most of the time, I mean, we do the show. We ride back, but we call ourselves the Road Warriors, kind of.
I like it. I like it.
Most of the time, though, it seems like I end up trying to keep him awake, and he's there to try to keep me awake. But
it's teenagers. That's what they do, right?
Yeah.
What other, mid states? What other promotions have you gone to? Like for me, I could tell you, I've been to World League Wrestling up in Troy, Harley Races, late Harley Races promotion around here. Is there any other ones you've been to?
Yeah. So as of right now, I've done 10 shows as far as ring announcing. I'm about 5.5, 6 months into my journey so far.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been able to do 3 states and 3 companies.
Oh, wow.
So I announced for Mid States Wrestling. This weekend, I will be ring announcing for Crown Championship Wrestling. It will be in Siloam Springs, the community building. I believe built times 7. So I'll be doing Crown Championship, and then the following weekend on the 28th, I will be in Tulsa, Oklahoma, doing ring announcing for WFC Wrestle for a Cause, and it's an event called Fandetta, and Sam Stackhouse will be in the building. So I'm kind of looking forward to getting to call Sam Stackhouse.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, okay, so let's talk a little bit. You're just talking about your announcements you're going this weekend. What is that like? Family time. I mean, I know you said you bring your son everywhere. I mean, but your spouse, your wife, other things you do. I mean, obviously you have a day job. What is that kind of like for you as far as your scheduling? And is that kind of sometimes like put you in a pickle or?
Well, luckily I'm a roofer. So it hasn't, how can I say it? I roof part-time. Okay. And then I've been selling toys now for 5 or 6 years. I used to work for a roofing company, and I decided that I was making more selling toys than I was roofing. Yeah. So I went out and I started selling toys, die cast, action figures, pop vinyls. I mean, you name it. And then I just started taking, the work that I was getting and kind of balancing it. Mm-hmm. So with that, it's kind of created a freedom for me to where I'm able to travel a little bit more. I can kind of create my own schedule. Yeah. And I also try not to overwhelm myself. So the last couple weeks, the last couple weekends I've took off. So what I've noticed that I've done the last couple times is I'll do like a 3 to 6 show or 3 to 5 show, like spurt, like 3 weeks, week off, maybe 2 weeks, and then chill out a couple weeks, then hit something similar to that again. Okay. Just maybe so I'm new to it, and I have a blast, but I also don't want to jump in and maybe go further than I need to be and stress myself out. Yeah. Because it's remembering all the belts for all the organizations or each promotion. Just remembering everything. I think for being in it 6 months, working the three promotions that I do, that's kind of my plate's full. Yeah. So I don't really want to push myself overboard and drive myself crazy with it because I love it too much. So yeah. No, I understand. I'll tell you what, the first time you did it was at my first event, and you did it no problem. I thought you've been doing it for years. So you're doing really well with it. So I mean, that's great. I mean, that's wonderful. Let me ask you this. You've said you've met a lot of wrestlers over the years. Who is probably one of the most memorable ones that you've met and interacted with that you can think of? Well, man, I know there's a lot. There is. One that really stands out for me is I guess you could say I met him, but it was at an Impact Wrestling event. It was in Joplin, Missouri. It was at the Memorial Hall. My son was about 6, and Abyss was everything. Abyss used to, do that stuff like this, and he'd like want to grab his hair. Well, I used to have to tell my son, don't pull your hair out, do it, but don't pull your hair out. But he loved Abyss, and he'd always run around and do the Monster Abyss thing. And I won the loudest fan award. It was like something that Jeremy Borash was giving away, and it was like a backstage VIP thing. So we won it, and we came around there. It was kind of dark. There was like a group of me and him and maybe 10 others. And we came around the corner and there stood Abyss in the dark. And my son just kind of looked, kind of grabbed my leg and kind of like looked up at him. And I was like, you know, it's okay. And then Abyss just leaned down. He's like, you know who I am. And Trey played, you know, along with it or whatever and did the pose. But that night we met Abyss and the Dudley Boys. And I have a picture with my son and the Dudley Boys that is, we have tons of photos, but it's priceless. And Abyss reached down into his bag and grabbed a mask and pulled it out and signed it and gave it to him. And it's actually hanging up here. It's hanging up here from the ceiling. It's an event signed one.
That's awesome.
So for me, I always thought that was pretty cool because there for a second, it almost seemed that Trey was a little terrified, like, wow, Abyss is really here. And he's standing right here. But Chris Parks is he's a stand-up guy for that, and that's just that's one that always stands out to me. So
I will say, you know, I've met some guys in the past. I've only met one person that I didn't care for, and this was probably 14 years ago. Batista was then. I was at a WWE event in Syracuse, New York. I was stationed at Fort Drum then. And I took my son. And it's like cold as ice. I mean, he just looked at you, signed the thing, move on. I said, can we get a picture? No. And just cold. I'll never forget that. It was,
We had an experience like that, and it was Austin Aries. And that was actually at another Impact Wrestling event that was in Joplin at the Memorial Hall. And he signed a figure for us and stuff, but he was just, he definitely wasn't playing heel or anything at the time. But it was, that one really sticks out. And I've been asked that question a lot of times, but I've never really had everyone I've normally met in the business so far. And even working with, I haven't really ran into anybody that's,
you know. And I'll tell you, one of the best ones I ever met was actually a couple. It was Jim Brunzell and Greg Gagne, the original Highflyers. I went to an event up in Milwaukee last fall, and it was a great event, Crusher Fest. And those guys were there. I had interacted with them a little bit over social media, but I met up with them. Fantastic, nicest guys, you know. And for the most part, most of the guys I've ever interacted with are nice. You know, they'll talk to you a few minutes, sign your thing, and but they'll interact with you. They just, like I said, the one person that just kind of signed it and shoved it on was let's go. I was really surprised and upset about it. And but anyway, so
it's really amazing, like you know what some of them do. Like when we met Kofi Kingston, it was probably like 25 degrees outside. My son, I mean, ever since the Jamaican days or whatever it was of Kofi Kingston, my son's been a huge Kofi Kingston and Dustin Rhodes fan like forever. Like if you went into his room, you'd be like, wow, you've never seen so much Gold Dust, Dustin Rhodes, and Kofi Kingston stuff. It's weird. But it was like 25 degrees. We normally don't stand outside the arena after events, and we seen a couple like walking here and there, and everyone was leaving, and Kofi Kingston pulled up. He was just in shorts and like a little tank top. It was freezing, and he got out and signed autographs and did pictures and stuff. That one was actually a really cool one. Because we had just chased Kofi so long. It seemed like all these events that we were going to, and we could never, like, he wouldn't show up, card subject to change. And then I finally got him to the Royal Rumble 2012 in St. Louis. And that's when Kofi Kingston walked on his hands. But
that's right.
That was real big. That was real big for my son. Me and my wife has a picture of him where he's real little and he's sitting over there doing the countdown and just like freaking out. But,
that's great.
He was a good guy. He was real nice. So
I will, like I said, most of them for the most part are really nice. So all right, a couple more questions and we'll let you go. There's an event you said coming up this weekend for you. Now the one in Springfield, I believe it's June 25th for mid-states. I'm sure you're going to be there. Do you know anything about that card right now? I know it's subject to change, but
I only thing that I know of right now that I know for sure is Luke Langley, Colton Vaught, the rematch. And that's honestly all I know.
Okay. I want to talk to you about a tag team in there that I really enjoy, and that's Toxic Masculinity, the Johnnies.
Yeah.
I love those guys. I think they're great. They bring that heel, but yet they're funny.
Yes.
Persona to their matches. What's your take on those guys?
I love both of them. They're both kind of like older wrestling brothers to my son.
Yeah.
They're both great guys. They're so like they're dynamic as a tag team.
Yeah.
But like in their own individual skills, like for example, Dynamite, he's kind of he's the bruiser. Mm-hmm. Lightning is the how can I say it? He's more the flamboyant, he does the hands. He's trying to get under your skin. He's more of the I guess I don't even know how to say it, but you put them together and they complement each other so well. It's just Lightning kind of seems more like the high flyer kind of showman type guy, and Dynamite's more of like the he jokes around, but he's a bruiser.
Yeah.
But they're both talented. They're both talented. I will say this: Johnny Lightning likes putting his hands. I think he's put his hand on this tie once already. He likes he really likes my ties in the ring. So
I think they're great. They are a great combination as far as their chemistry with each other. Their chemistry in the ring. They're probably one of my favorite tag teams. In fact, I think go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say they definitely they pay their dues, and they're everywhere. They do stuff for WFC, for Crown Championship, for Mid States, and a ton of other places. But I mean, their ring gear, they're constantly switching up ring gear. They do great promo work.
Yeah.
They're constantly trying new stuff. As far as like marketing themselves, I mean, as you can tell, and I told these guys, like, I buy wrestling stuff all the time, and I have ever since I was old enough to buy stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like, when you go to the event, their merchandise table it's unbelievable, from like ring worn gear and autographs, stuff that's in frames signed, and they're designing their own shoes, and they have their own fan club, and they just offer a lot of stuff that I haven't seen anybody else really. I guess you could say the independent circuit do it, and I think they're really onto something. And it's one of those things you can't hate them. You want to hate them, but you can't. They're just you could put them against any the best baby faces, but they're still going to get cheers because they're just so good in ring. I mean, with their in-ring work. I like watching them. I have a blast. We normally chat before the shows, and we see each other at training and stuff all the time. And both of those guys have always been good to me and my family. So I will say that they've been good people.
Yeah. I'm gonna have them on here sometime. I'm gonna try to get them on here. I think they're great. I think they are probably one of the highlights of Mid States right now as far as a team. They are so good to me. I think I haven't seen a team like that with their chemistry, their marketing, their skill sets. They're talking on the mic in quite a while, and it's very refreshing. So if you see them, tell them they're doing a great job from me. So I'd appreciate
Will
it.
do.
So, all right.
Will do.
All right. Let's talk about you. Have you ever been in the ring as a wrestler?
I've been training. I'm still taking bumps.
Okay.
I came to the realization, like I've been roofing for, I think it was like over 15 years last time I counted. I started at 18 and I really full-time quit about 35. And I'm not going to lie, years of roofing has not been kind to me. As much as I want to tell myself, yeah, we're going to get in here and wrestle. I'm still getting in there and I'm working. One goal of mine is give it about another year, maybe 2 years. Hopefully my son will be in the business. I want to be able to go enough. I want to be able to go enough to where we can at least tag team.
That'd be awesome.
Once or twice. He's told me, because we've always planned on getting him in the business, and it's something that we've been working on now for over 12 years just with him. And that seems to be the goal, is get in there, maybe get a match or two, maybe use the maybe the announcer is getting beat up and maybe the boy has to come out to save him, or something like that. Who knows what'll happen. But I came to the realization, like, I love ring announcing. I tried it that first time. I was like, okay, maybe I was just nervous. Then I did it the second, the third, and fourth time. I've fully embraced it. Like, I actually like it. Like, I've invested in the suits, the shoes, the ties, I'm trying to go everywhere that I can. So yeah, I'm still bumping. Actually, this last session that I went to, it put more hurt on me than ever, and everybody gets that assumption of, oh, it's pro wrestling. It's
it's fake.
I try to explain to people, if you're in an MMA fight and a guy comes across the ring to throw you, okay, yes, he's going to throw you. But the thing is you're going to 100% defend yourself from being thrown. Pro wrestling, if you're going to take a power bomb, you got to come over here. You got to be willing to take that power bomb. It's, and it's different. It's trusting the other person. It's trusting yourself, being athletic enough, being fit. And it's definitely something. You don't just get used to it right out of the gate, but I still give it a try here and there. And that's kind of the goal for me. I don't see me having a pro wrestling career. I could see myself doing ring announcing, maybe some color commentating. I love talking about wrestling, so I could do that all day long.
At my age, probably 20 years ago, I might have, or 25. I mean, I'm up there now, but now if I ever wanted to get involved, either a ring announcer like yourself, maybe a referee, I might take a bump as far as hitting me and I fall and something like that. But I applaud you though. I mean, like I said, you've done great work. Every time I'm there, you sound like you've been doing it for years. So, all right. One last question. You got some events coming up. Why don't we talk about that? You said this weekend you're going where?
I'm going to Siloam Springs, Arkansas, Crown Championship Wrestling. Okay. I'm just now really getting the information on the new company. I believe it's crownprotickets.com. It's at the community building this Saturday. I know that Chief Atakula Kula is going to battle Big Joe Helms. There's another match too, and I can't think of it right now off the top of my head, but it's a great card. I know there's an 8-man tag match that's going to be happening. Toxic Masculinity, Jason Jones, Duke Cornell, Tim Rockwell, the Natural Born Villain, Thrash, Big Chief Atakula Kula. There's somebody else in there. It may be Luke Langley. Don't quote me on that, but go to Crown Championship Wrestling. They've got a big card set up. And then the following weekend, WFC, that's going to be in Tulsa on the 28th at the Hope Event Center. And it's Vendetta. So as of right now, I know a few matches. I don't know the stipulations. They let the fans vote. online.
Oh, that's cool.
So I'll know more that day.
There you go.
So I'll know just maybe a couple hours before everyone else does.
Yeah.
What we're gonna do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then I know I have Harrison on the 11th.
Yeah.
20th anniversary show.
Oh.
So, Mid-States Wrestling.
Oh, all right. I might have to come check that out. I'll be at the one for sure in Springfield on June 25th. I'm going to take my grandson. He's 11 years old, so I'm allowed now to take him. He's not going to beat up his brothers and stuff. I have to have a little talk with him about it. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Mr. Ryan Pilkinton for coming on today. Ryan, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And fans, if you're listening, thank you. If you're watching, thank you. And please subscribe, and we will talk to you soon.